welcome to the sixth episode of Winning Ways, presented by the Washington State Football Coaches Association. And it's a pleasure of mine to get to have a conversation with Bob Ames. And Bob Ames was kind of a legend when I was in high school. I went to Linden Christian, and Meridian's in the same league. I know he may cut this conversation off right now. I probably shouldn't have said that. But I went there in the early 90s, and I was really not an impactful player, so you wouldn't have remembered me as a player there. You were a legend then, and you already had a mystique about you. And then when I got into coaching and just followed your career and have watched it, just admired you from a long time. So it's an honor. Bob is the third winningest coach in state history. So we had a conversation the other day with Monty Kohler and Sid Otten, and Bob's right behind those guys. He's coached an even 500 games in our state, and he won 2/3 of those, 332 wins to 168 losses, 56 years of coaching, and 46 of those as the head coach at Meridian High School up there in Laurel, Washington, just between kind of Linden and Bellingham, right on the edge of Bellingham. And in that run, he had 25 state appearances, 19 league championships. I think it was 12 or 13 10-plus win seasons. 10 times he took teams to the state semis, 6 times to the state title game, and he won 3 of those. In fact, the 1999 team was the first team in Whatcom County history to have an undefeated state championship. If you know much about Whatcom football, they've got pretty rich history. Some great teams up there from other programs as well, the Ferndales and Lindens and so forth, right? And Bob was the first to have an undefeated state championship. He's got 40 first-team all-state players. He's got 5 children, 3 sons who play for him, a couple of daughters. He's been married 53 years, many grandchildren. So numbers are all over the place. So, Bob, what number is most important to you?
10 grandchildren.
Yeah, I kind of expected that to come. Everything I've known about you and read about you, family's number one, right? And you're from Oahu originally, right? And I believe is Ohana that word, family?
Ohana, yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the importance of family to you.
Well, growing up myself, my family, my mom and dad were awesome folks. I was kind of, I don't know if I was precocious, but I got shipped off to Maui with my grandmother to visit my aunt and uncle, and they were awesome too. The whole part of our Ohana down there is fantastic. We're still in touch with them, as well as doing lots of things for their own family.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you had a chance your daughters played soccer there at Meridian. Your sons played football for you. In fact, Patrick is the head coach now at Meridian. So tell me a little bit about the chance to coach your boys and to have one of your sons take over and kind of continue the Ames legacy there at Meridian.
Well, my beautiful wife makes a lot of the decisions around here. And I had already made my decision that I was going to retire after a certain season before my sons came in, mm-hmm. so that I could go to Mount Baker and be an assistant coach. I'd already arranged it with Stu Gorski. And my wife and boys made the decision that they were going to transfer to Meridian. And as usual, she made the right choice. Mm-hmm. And it was really fun because I was the bye-bye daddy. I mean, spending lots of time with other people's kids. The Meridian paycheck wasn't that big. So I ended up working at the border for like 23 years, mm-hmm. just to make ends meet. And so it was nice to have first the boys, then the girls transfer over, because then we went to school every day together, mm-hmm. and came home every day together. And even though some of those times were quiet, they were just really, really great times.
Mm. That's awesome. You said you worked at the border. What years did you work at the border?
Oh, geez. 78, maybe.
Okay.
I was given an ultimatum. We won the state championship against Connell, and the next day I worked an 8-4 at the border, and got called in and says, well, all part-timers now must go to Flexi to be trained.
Mm.
What? I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I like what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I just paid my house off, so here's my gun, here's my vest, and have a good time.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like you were there in the early 90s for sure.
Yes.
Well, my sophomore year in high school, I grew up in Canada and I traveled across the border every single day to drive to Linden Christian. And, there was some stuff that was going on at the school I would have attended in Canada. And so we were looking for a place to be in.
Mhm.
And we heard an ad on, the radio for this Christian school. And it was about a 45-minute drive as long as I didn't get held up at the border. So there was 2 times I got held up and I wasn't a big time player, so good thing because you could have been like, he's not crossing the border this Friday if we were playing you. So interesting experience. Do you have a best story from working there? An interesting story?
My first day on the job, I show up and okay, what do I do? How long do I have to go to wherever to train and get ready to do this? And they just laughed at me. And Bill Waddell, the journeyman, grabbed me by the arm and took me out, sat me in the booth. Says, you type your license plates in, and these are the questions you ask.
Mm-hmm.
I did that and turned around. He was gone.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so there I was, full-fledged and ready to go.
Wow. It's probably a little different training now, I'm guessing, but yeah. So some other things outside of the football, we'll get into the football in a minute, but many years of teaching, looks like history teacher and PE teacher and driver's ed teacher. My guess is you had some near life and death experiences as a driver's ed teacher too. Can you give me your best stories as a driver's ed teacher?
Oh, Jesus. It was in the first couple of weeks. The school had bought a Plymouth Interceptor, or maybe the engine was it was an XA patrol car. Mm-hmm. And they made it the driver's ed car. And okay, I had brake on my side, and we're going down the Goodwin Road, and the kid had to avoid, or he didn't have to, but he avoided a rabbit and stepped on the gas, and all of a sudden our rear end's in the ditch, and we were able to drive it out.
Wow.
That was not very exciting for him, but it was exciting for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So speaking of vehicles, I've heard for a long time that you used to have part of the training on the practice fields. You had an old truck that your players pushed around. Can you tell me about, what truck was that, and what gave you that idea, and what did you benefit from pushing the truck?
Well, we do something in 2 days called the county fair that Patrick picked up when he was at UPS. And I said how much he hated it. So I said, well, let's set up our own little version. And part of it for the linemen was pushing the old truck, my 55 Chevy pickup. Blow the whistle, and they'd shove it and blow the whistle. A new group would come and they'd rotate through. I thought it was a good drill.
Some other things, other accolades for coaches. He's in multiple Hall of Fames. He's in the Washington State Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame, the WIAA Hall of Fame, and the Western Washington University Hall of Fame, where coach was a 3-sport athlete: football, rugby, and track. So tell me a little bit about maybe how rugby may have even helped you as a football coach, and what events did you do in track?
I was a shot putter. I wasn't very good, but there were a bunch of us freshmen, and I turned out again as a sophomore that had done it in high school and really enjoyed it. I liked track. It was different than football because in high school, you really got to meet the guys you were competing with. In high school, in middle school, junior high, it was not junior high, JVs, it was a leather helmet, so you got to see each other fine. But track gave you that opportunity to meet people and share experiences. And the guys from Kahuku and Kailua and Lelewu, all those other schools, were not just jersey numbers anymore. They were like real people. I really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. And got to meet some of the guys that were going on to D1 schools, and they were really good well-rounded, grounded people. It was a great experience for me.
Yeah. And did you say that you got to wear leather helmets?
Yeah, we were the last JV team to wear leather helmets. Um, the one I had was been so worn out I could almost fold it up and put it in my pocket. And barefooted. It was also the last barefoot JV league. No ankle injuries, no knee injuries. We all went barefooted anyway. I went to school from kindergarten through sixth grade barefooted every day, and most of the other kids.
Right.
And you had to wear shoes going into high school.
Mhm.
High school was 7 through 12.
Yeah. So a barefoot football league, no cleats, nobody. It's just running
Yep.
around. That's awesome. And is there any leagues like that left? Do you know?
I don't know. I know that everybody got regular plastic helmets the next year, the JVs and all the varsity guys, and they all played in shoes. So
Right.
who gave you shoes? You made the team, you got shoes.
Wow, that's big upgrade. I'm guessing those, we laugh about. I was laughing about leather helmets because not many that are still around got to play in leather helmets. And then you say, well, then we get the plastic helmets. And if we were to see those today, people would be like, "What? You can't wear this, right?" But I did get to when I was playing. When I was youngest, they had the suspension helmets that had just this little thing hanging down, and that might have been kind of like the leather or the plastic helmets you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. I threw a bunch of numbers out there, and so I have a question for you. What do Goliath, Andre the Giant, and Shaquille O'Neal have in common?
The big.
That is true. And also, what they have in common is if they had ever appeared on a Bob Ames roster, they probably would have been listed at 5'6" and 140 pounds, right?
Yeah, probably.
So, tell me a little bit about, you always had the most creative roster sizes, and it became just something that, people that knew you just kind of loved and got a chuckle out of. But tell me where that came from, and was it just something to have fun with? Was there psychology behind it? Tell me a little bit about that.
A little bit of both.
Mhm.
I kept looking at rosters because we try to scout every chance we get. And this guy's listed, say, 6'3", 175 pounds. And he walks by me and I can eat a bowl of soup off the top of his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept looking at that stuff. Well, I can play with that stuff and have fun at the same time and not threaten anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were small anyway, so it didn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ran with it. Some people were really upset about it. Get a life and get your own team, do what you want.
You had fun with media as well, and you just said, "Hey, we were small," and I do recall we played you in 2012 or 13, and you had a kid who was a pretty big kid going to go to Wazoo, and he definitely was larger in person than he showed up on the numbers. And I had to coach my team ahead of time. Do not look at their roster. Don't believe any of it, because you're going to show up and that's going to be a man child out there, But with not just the rosters, but even just your quips to the reporters. You have been a guy who I know the high school sports reporters, you are their favorite interview. As I was preparing for this, I even found video clips of, they would repeat 3 times. You'd start out talking about your team and, well, we may not be very big, but we sure are slow, and and I don't know how we can compete with this league. And then you go on and maybe there were some years that were like that, but that's how you sounded when you had a state championship kind of team as well. Maybe the postseason interview might be, So tell me, what are some of your best one-liners?
Oh gosh. I wouldn't let them mow the field because I was afraid some of our kids are still stuck in the grass. I did that not to be clever so much as, which it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to give anybody a scout report on the radio.
Yep.
And the TV guys came out, it was worse.
Mm-hmm.
There's videotaping your practice, and I would myself, when that stuff came on other teams, I'd be there with my pen and pencil. This guy. Then I try to match it up with what the guy on the radio would say, and have a good idea about who the best guy is, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, that kind of stuff. And I wasn't going to do it for somebody else.
Absolutely.
So we just did dumb things. When KVOS used to come out, they loved doing it because we'd always do something fun. When they came out a couple of times at the end of 2-day practices, there was we just got together as a team. Well, what do you want to do? This we can do this and this and this. We can sing a song. We can do one of those dances and yada yada yada. We just had fun, but we never told anybody about who our starting quarterback was going to be, who was going to start in the offensive line, what formations we're going to be in, and yada yada yada.
And I love hearing that you allowed the players to like come up with, hey, this is what we're going to do, and it becomes part of their persona and something they're enjoying as well. And in my history classes, I get to teach a military class, and we study Sun Tzu. We read through his Art of War over the course of this semester, and he's all about all warfare is deception. And I think athletic competition is not warfare. It's not the same level of importance by any means, but it's a similar strategies, right? And so I think that's fascinating. I love it. So some things that are coming up. Part of I had you on my list as somebody I wanted to chat with anyway. But there's something specific for the time of why we're having this conversation this week, because coming up Saturday, the 27th, the Meridian High School field is going to officially be named Bob Ames Field. They're dedicating the field. For people who are interested in attending, that's a 1:00 game against Forks High School. Before that, there's a community celebration in luau at Laurel Community Church. Tickets are $20. It includes lunch, highlight speakers, ticket to the game. There's a contact I'll give you. Tickets are limited. So I don't know if it's sold out yet or not, but if people are interested, the number is 360-303-8832. So tell me about the fact that you're getting this honor of the field's going to now be named Bob Ames Field.
Well, there's a large part of me is kind of uncomfortable about it. When I think about it, I never played a down on that field. Mm-hmm. And I've been to a couple reunions and talked to some of the guys, and I just don't think it's fair that they're not included. Mm-hmm. It's their blood, sweat, and tears in that field. But I'll accept it with their okay that they can bring their kids by and say that's actually me. Mm-hmm. I did this and I helped do that. Then it's fine.
Yeah, and I think any coaching honor is a team honor, right? It never happens with just the coach. From the players who are out there, like you said, blood, sweat, and tears, to assistant coaches, to the family support, community support, and all those things. So speaking of, can you tell me a little bit about maybe some of your top assistants that have really impacted your career over the year?
Well, I've been very fortunate to have lots of great people want to be part of the program. Right now, I think we have 12 coaches, and I think 8 of them played for Meridian. Wow. It's just really great guys. And when I took over, we had Bernie Sparks and Dick Jabora, and later we added Mike Pratziller, who had coached at Winlock and in 2 state championship games, beat Linden for one, and they lost another one. But he was fantastic. He did everything I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. He took gear, order gear, tape ankles. I would tape ankles, but they didn't want me because I anchored it to the hair,
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't move. He took a class for doctors and nurses and trainers who work with sports injuries. And at the end of the course, he gave a test. He was number 1. And he was very instrumental. He was also our quarterback coach. And we've had a slug of all-state quarterbacks. And he worked and trained with all those guys. He's fantastic. Beav Ellenboss has been our offensive coordinator. He is again now. He's been our defensive coordinator. He's been out to other programs and worked on those just to learn more about football, and he's back. And his nephew is our quarterback. We've just had Patrick and just lots of great folks. Mm-hmm. Pete Callaghan worked for us for a year and a half.
Wow. Well,
Uh,
he's one of my favorites. Quality guy.
yes, yes, very much so. He was really torn about leaving the program to go to the U. He wasn't sure about how things were going to go there. He says, I really like the kids. I said, well, these are kids too. They're just a little older.
Yeah.
And so we went down there with him and got him signed up and miss him a lot. We haven't seen him for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think he's back at Wake Forest or something.
Yeah, he's back on the East Coast. And he actually helped the State Coaches Association put together a mentorship program this last year. And so we brought in some experienced coaches and brought in coaches who were in their first, second, or third year. And we held it at the VMAC. And Coach Callaghan was one of the guys who helped get that started. Now,
Oh,
he didn't get to enjoy the fruits of it because he left, but he was very instrumental in that. So a lot of respect for him. So.
one of our coaches went to that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Was it Mike?
Yeah, Big Mike.
Yeah. All right. I got to see him down at the state championship last year in a couple clinics, and we got past the Meridian Linden Christian thing, and I think we can say we're friends. So I've enjoyed Big Mike.
I was going to ask you when are you going to put Dan on?
Kamick?
Yeah.
Coach, I would love to get him on here at some point in time. And I've got to try. I'm hoping to get a balance around the state, and I don't want to focus just too much, locally. So I'm trying to balance things out. But my senior year was his first year as the head coach of Linden Christian. So I go way back to the beginning when he first came in, and once in a while I see him since I'm not coaching right now. I've seen him when I travel around to the game of the week, and he's doing the broadcasting, and
Yep.
that would be a lot of fun. Speaking of. Do you have, and I don't know if it's him or somebody else, do you have a rivalry, a team or a coach that you love to compete against the most and love to beat?
Rolly DeCosta.
Okay, yeah, Linden, another gentleman who has a field named after himself there. Yeah,
My second year, we were over, and we're going up. We're going up to play him, and four of our seniors were in a car, and they get in a car wreck right at the corner.
Hmm.
And so we're down four seniors. Our quarterback was sick. Our running back was hobbled, and I think we were able to suit up 17 kids.
Wow.
And they crushed us.
Mm-hmm.
It was 49-0, no substitutions. And so the competition was on.
Mm-hmm.
We beat them the next year.
Yeah.
And several years thereafter.
Yeah.
It was great competition. And, while you're in the moment, you're all fire afterwards. You can look at each other and chuckle and, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you too. You got me. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That's the greatest part about coaching.
Yeah.
Once you let your ego go by the wayside, put it in your back pocket, you understand they're going through the same things you are.
Absolutely.
Everybody has the same problems. Everybody is rich at some point, and as the group, and other points not. And this league has been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think about. I was talking to the guy yesterday. How grateful I am really to have been in this league, because you come out of this league, you're going to be maybe a semifinalist or in the finals. Mm-hmm. And that's due a lot in part to the competition you have.
Absolutely. And nobody in the Whatcom County teams, 1A or 2A, really, I mean, backs down from anybody. But in fact, after our interview today, I'm heading north, and I'm going to go up to Mount Baker and watch Mount Baker host Bellevue. Bellevue's 3A school is going to go play Mount Baker today. So yeah, the league is fantastic. Definitely had you prepared for the playoffs and a deep run in it. So Rollo DeCosta, and you kind of remember that first loss to him, and then coming back and beating him, and how about any specific games, whether it's against Linden or anybody else? Is there any specific games? And I mean, that long history of 500 games, any games that stand out to you?
Oh gosh, there's too many to think of.
Just too many. How about that first 1999 undefeated state championship team? I've heard some people compare that in Whatcom County history to one of the top three teams, any school, any classification, with maybe the Jake Locker Ferndale team from from '05 and that 2012 Linden team. So I've heard that there was 7 different players that had 10 or more touchdowns on that team. Tell me a little bit about that 1999 team.
We were loaded. Up front, we weren't very big, but we had guys have been in the weight room. Well, we started the weight room. Well, we'll talk about that later. Pete was with us with that group for the first half. And I was in there. He ran our afternoon workout. And I watched him take one of those kids and said, okay, put 225 on the bar. You're going to squat it 10 times. Okay. You're going to squat it 10 times more. Okay. You're going to squat it 10 times more. Okay. You're going to do it again and again. And I said, take a break, do it again. Then put the bar down. The work ethic on those guys was it was just fantastic. And he ended up playing running back and defensive tackle for us. He was just so quick and so violent. Our tackles were medium sized, about 200 pounds, 220 maybe at the most. And we had decent sized guards, but we had Jeff Benham throwing the football all over the place. We had Eli Slesk and Joel Pears, and he was a running back / receiver. And we could just do just about anything we wanted to do. I think someone said that we averaged 565 yards or something like that in 4 playoff games.
Wow.
And it just kept rolling. And we're okay defensively. But what a great group of kids.
Yeah. And statistically, I mean, the offensive numbers are off the charts. And I read in another year, and I don't recall what year it was, you had a regular season where you averaged 2.9 points against for the season, for the whole regular season. So the combination of your offense and your defense, and kind of what I remember looking at you and preparing for you on a couple of occasions, aggressive defense, whether it's a 4-4, a 5-2, or 5-3, like some combination, there's going to be pressure, it's going to be physical, going to be hard hitting the whole game. And then offensively, maybe it starts with split back veer, but then it's going to turn into all variations of spread and multiple passing concepts. I stole a couple things from you over the years. Today, one of the popular things is like they call it the tight end leak, where he kind of drags out the backside and wheels up the backside. And I saw you do that effectively for many years and made sure we put that in. It was a big thing for us when we needed it. Your just fundamentals are awesome. So tell me a little bit. Now you don't have to hide the scouting report. So tell me a little bit about some of your offensive or defensive philosophies.
Offensively, you were right. We started with a split back here. My wife made the decision that we're going to take the job. I kept saying, no, I like outside. I don't particularly want to leave. But look at this school. It's pink. It's pink. Who paints their high school pink? No, one of these kids don't have a real good self-image. So we took it. So then we just had no days to prepare. We put in 3 plays. We got from that I got watching Curtis and playing against Curtis High School. Inside veer, outside veer, and a little counter, little small trap inside. And we went with that for most of the season. The next year, we added straight T. And those variations we've also run when you have the folks or you don't have the folks, single wing. We ran that several times. But when I was at Mount Si, we ran single wing for the first series in honor of the guy that had been there before. So we just always predicated, what do we have? What can we do with what we have? Then we'll start from the split back here and do what we can do. Defensively, we started in a 3-5 and 3-5, yeah, something like that. And then we're in 52, then the 4s, and then the varieties that you have to get into to play the spread. That's where I had the most fun, though. Football is never changes because it's all about blocking and tackling, but how you have to get there has changed a lot.
Right.
So I went up to Western, worked a camp with Don Heinrich, who was a fantastic guy, and sat down with the Western coach and said, well, we need to do something different. And Phil says, well, we're running the 90 series, and I'll show you how to do it. Jotted it all down. Later on in the summer, Bellingham Parks and Recs had a passing league, 2 teams, us and Bellingham. And we were pretty successful. Our kids loved it. Rainier Ellenboss, Beaver, went with us, and he then took over the 7-on-7. We played every ounce of in every part of the day, doing and getting better at that. The quarterbacks would get the kids and they'd go out and throw on their own and receive, and then we'd go out and play people. Go up. Did you ever go up to Four Hands?
I did. Yeah, the Big Kahuna Passing Challenge up there. We faced you at Western's camp a few times, with my Lakewood teams. They're always Meridian's team was like they wanted to play those guys because they're so competitive. And you were kind of in the passing 7-on-7 stuff long before most teams did it, right?
Yeah, because I knew it was going to be the thing, and so I wasn't that smart to do it all. I got somebody that was, and went to the All-State game when Michael played, and sat down with Mark Smith from
Tacoma Baptist.
Tacoma Baptist.
Yeah,
and he was running all that stuff, and got a lot of stuff from him. In fact, we got his playbook, integrated it all. Then times we've seen Steve Jervis, we played him a couple times. We played him in, oh shoot, when he had Brandon Jumper and then the big kid in the front. That went down to the last play. It was a great game.
At Eatonville.
Yeah. Then we played him again in 92 in the semis, and it went right down to the last game. In fact, it was overtime, and all we had to do was score one way or the other. And ran outside rear. Our guys fall down with the ball across the line of scrimmage, but on the Eatonville kids, and it's called a no play, and we lose. And consoling my kid, I had 2 boys on the team, and one was involved in that play. And all of a sudden, the officials come running up. This coach come out. We need to talk to you. Go and apologize for that last play. We blew it. That was a touchdown.
Wow.
What do I tell my kids?
Right.
And then I thanked them for doing that. Had one more experience like that in a state championship game too. But yeah. So what Steve was just throwing the ball all over the place, and so we did too.
Yeah.
And you got to prepare for all those formations, and we can still run the veer out of doing other things.
Yeah, you were probably of all the teams that we prepared for, we had to prepare for more things with you because you did so many things. You did it well, from under center, split back veer to shotgun to whatever, and defensively you would do some things that maybe you didn't see from other teams also. So kind of a one-off that, well, how do we prepare for this, right?
One of the things that I've always looked at, what is the defensive concept of the year? Are all people going to be in a 4, or they're going to be in a 5-3 or 5-2? And we tried to do the opposite,
right,
without changing our fundamentals.
Yeah. You mentioned Mount Si, and you spent some time working there as an assistant before you took the job at Meridian, and it was with Pat Alexander. Is this the same Pat Alexander that was at Tumwater for a long time?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experience working with Pat at Mount Si, and then how you ended up taking that job. You mentioned that your wife said take that job at Meridian. And I know your first couple of years you were 3-16, and probably wondering, are you going to keep that job? But I think they and you are thankful that you got an opportunity to stay. So tell me a little bit about that, the run at Mount Si and working with Pat Alexander, and then your start at Meridian.
Well, first of all, Pat put together a really good staff. I don't know if you know who Bob Reimer is, Nooksack guy. His brother Galen coached at basketball at Seahole, We had Bob, who eventually went on to be the head coach of Centralia. We had Charlie Scott, coached our freshmen. Charlie played football for Canute Brockley at Notre Dame.
Wow.
He was a freshman.
Wow.
I learned all this stuff because the two of us went scouting. The oldest guy and the youngest guy go scout. And the experience of being with him, and said, they must have had 100 kids turn out for football and kept them all. And that was cool. And it was just a great place. And Pat was an awesome guy, innovative, positive, creative, and a real role model for kind of a happy-go-lucky college graduate, not knowing what he wanted to do, being thrust in with all these married family guys. And, they taught me how to be a man, kind of, and what was important in life, more important than football and all that other stuff. It was really fun, and the kids were great. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Pat, when I came to Meridian, Pat then went to Tumwater.
Okay.
The principal fired him the year after I left.
Wow.
He also went to Tumwater and hired him to come to Tumwater to be the leadership coach, the teacher, assistant football, and head wrestling coach. How about that?
That is definitely interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So we stayed in touch. When I had questions about especially defensive things, because he was the boss there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd call Pat, and if I couldn't get a hold of Pat, I'd call Jim Lambright. I got to know Jim when I was at Mount Si. His neighbor, Jerry Joyce, was our track coach.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jim when Shoreline Community College dropped their football program, and Jim was the head coach, I believe, he went to the U and came out to scout some of our kids. And he just, we just really hit it off, and we had the run of the place. Whatever we wanted to do, we got. You want to bring your kids for a game? Bring your kids for a game. You want to bring them to the weight room? Bring them to the weight room. You want to come to the weight room? You want to talk to Rick Hughley? You want to go talk to the defensive coach? You want to talk to Coach? Who's the head coach?
Coach James.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
The experience there opened a lot of doors for me. Our athletic director was Jim North, long ball hitter. Played for the Redskins. His wife's dad got sick and he had come back to help run the farm there in Tukwila, which was one of the 3 areas were considered for the Kingdom. So we're at a coach's clinic, and Joe Paterno was there. And Joe Paterno walks by Jim, turns around, and says, "You're Jim North. You were number 49 for the Redskins." Wow. North picked him up bodily, brought him over to our table, sat him down in a chair, and he didn't have to tell the stories till he turned the light off.
Wow.
Awesome. There's all kinds of things there outside to be thankful for me. Some of the kids have come up to our games, and kids are not kids anymore. They're 50, 60 years old. And I imagine some of them will be here for the field thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was up here with my wife. She's also taught in North Bend. And her workshop was just about over. I was hanging out with the rugby boys at the lake. Somebody says, "Hey, Mike Francis says there's a head coach opening at Meridian, and they have no applicants." So they must be bad. So they went back to the house, and just happened to mention him. I said, "So you're taking the job?" You're taking the job. How am I going to do that? I don't have any interviewing. Let me taking the job. Meanwhile, everybody else don't take the job. They're the worst school in the county. They take all the bad kids. They've never won in anything. I went into the yearbooks, and they were right. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. If you do it, it'll be a successful season if you get them to wear the same socks. Mm-hmm. As a team. So he said, "Call him." "Nope, I'm not going to do that." So we arrived at 9:00, And he met us, the principal, and here's your, and I'm in my non-interviewing clothes. Here's your classroom. We haven't even talked to you. There's a gym and your office, and there's a field, and what more do you want there? Do you need any more explanation? My wife says he's taking a job. That's where we did this place is pink. Pink. Look at it. This pink. No wonder they don't win. No wonder. But I remember that being in Monroe Reformatory. That place is painted pink.
Mm-hmm.
We went in there to play city ball, and it was hilarious. I mean, who would paint their building pink? Meridian did.
Not anymore, though.
Not anymore.
Proud
So
black and gold.
we took the job.
Yeah. So yes, dear. That was how you got the job at Meridian. Yes, dear.
Yeah, I learned to use that very often.
Yeah. 53 years of marriage. I think that's probably a pretty good phrase to know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we've been very.
So congratulations on that, by the way. 53 years is very impressive, and it's a testament to you and to your wife and raising a beautiful family. I know when I've read some comments from some of the players, many of them consider you as a father figure as well, and they just so appreciate all that you've done to lead them in life. And can you tell me what the most important character traits that you built into your football teams? Not just as young men, yes, that, but also you're building a tough football team. What were the most important character traits you built in, and how did you do that?
That's a tough question. I think you and your assistants model more than you come out and discuss and talk about. They talk about more about what your character is. Your character is what you do when nobody's looking. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna go to the end of the line during sprints and just walk through it? Your guys are looking at you, and how they're going to trust you. Even stuff, just stuff like that. I mean, things you just do as a coach. Mm-hmm. I do know there are a lot of kids hurting out there, mm-hmm. and a lot of them come to football because it's kind of a sanctuary, and you're not at least in our program, you're not looked down on because you're poor or look like everybody else or any of that stuff. We're inclusive. We include anybody. Sometimes broke my heart to see kids on the JV team who can get in, sprint into the locker room because they didn't get dirty. Mm-hmm. So we just change that rule around, and everybody gets to play. Mm-hmm. Everybody. I want to make sure that when they come off the field, they have something to talk about, positively, or what somebody did to them, mm-hmm. or whatever, but something to talk to and be happy with. Mm-hmm. And all of that is what you model to your kids and what you reinforce, because when you have to make the decisions about who's going to start, who's not going to start, who's going to miss a game because they violated a rule, and if you go ahead and play somebody just because they're the starter, you have all these other kids that are standing around watching. Well, what is he going to do? Mm-hmm. You've got to do the right thing. You've got to, if not, you can lose those kids.
So consistency, best player, worst player, got to treat them, all with the same fairness.
Yep.
Yep. Awesome.
Hit that.
Say that again.
Because you do that.
Yes.
What coaches don't do that? They don't belong in the
not very successful ones. I'll tell you that. Your coaching why? I think it kind of just bleeds through everything you've been talking about. But what was your main thing, and did it change from when you started out to later on in your career?
The challenge was there, and I felt we had to do some drastic things to start changing things that we did at Mount Si. Mm-hmm. Required one haircut, so the helmets would fit. Talk about the suspension helmets. We wanted to make sure we had the best fit for our kids, one haircut. That's all you need.
Mhm.
Right at the beginning of the season, but don't take another one till you hang that helmet up.
Mhm.
And I'm outside. We required the kids to come to school, shirt and tie.
Mhm.
And so we did that. And our first meeting, the hue and cry, I'm not gonna do that. Well, that's crazy. That's stupid. Nobody does that. People do that.
Mhm.
And if you're gonna play, you're gonna do that. We had 17 kids out for the first practice. But you stick to your guns, and we finished with 40 some.
Yeah.
You just do what you have to do.
Coach, with how many different things you did offensively and so forth, and you gave a lot of teams a lot to prepare for. What did you do to prepare? So, what did your typical scouting look like as a coaching staff, and then what was maybe the practice schedule for your kids? What did that look like in terms of preparing them so they were ready for whatever they saw?
Let's talk about scouting reports and stuff.
Yeah.
One of our first things we did was fundraise to get a Super 8 camera.
Mhm.
So we fill the games, and then I would go home. I would be able to set it up home here, and I'd break down everything, write it all down, take it to school. Oh, I had to have the Mimeo, because we had a mimeograph machine.
Mhm.
For everybody to have a copy, I'd have to do that. And then the secretary had to watch me do it because they counted every sheet.
Mhm.
And have a meeting, present the scout report, and the best players who we think we could match up with better, uh, their best formations, the plays they run, and what are the plays you're going to see. This is the number 1, 2, 3, 4, all by hand.
Mhm.
Way before the electronic stuff that I have a hard time with. And then we'd go out and practice. And as we got going, Mike wanted to be part of that. So the two of us would meet at the school, and we would do that. And when it was over, we both worked. He worked at Sumas. I worked at Sumas. He worked at Linden.
Mhm.
So we go to our respective POEs, and when things slowed down on a Saturday night, we were able to make some decisions on how we're going to line up and swap it on the phone, and then get ready and play. Now we have all the huddle and that stuff. Patrick does it, but the defense coordinator, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, just about everybody shows up.
Mhm.
They want part, if they want a part of it, discuss, contribute, they're more than welcome. And then you chop everything up and say, oh, this is what we're going to do. And after seeing everything, and then present it to the kids, show them some film, then go practice. What did practices look like? To start with, you always have to teach what you're going to do on offense, and then teach what you're going to do on defense. And as we went through, what we finally settled on was we're going to practice till we get it right.
Mhm.
If that's going to be 3 hours, so be it. My last year at Western, we had 3 weeks of 3 days. I was a long snapper, so I had to go to the special team practice as well.
Mhm.
It didn't bother me. So, but we monitored all that stuff, and linemen, backs, all your position groups, and we would go over the fundamentals. What's your first step? Well, I took driver's ed course at Ferndale. It was taught by the head coach. The guy played free safety at Western, was the head coach at Ferndale.
Not Vic Randall.
Vic Randall.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a college offensive line coach there. It was his first year at his new school, and he was taking the class.
Mhm.
So we ate lunch together, and pretty soon we're doing more. We were at lunch longer than we were at class, but he taught us what they were doing with their offensive line and the things, and it sounded really good. The footwork, the targets, the stances, and the hand placement, and moving your feet, and communications, and all that kind of things. that takes a while to get through. And we did that. Then that became an everyday part of our offensive line fundamentals. Then the next part then was pass protection. The next part was if we're going to have any plays where we're going to pull people, like traps and things, and we'd have that. So we're there for half an hour easily, and then put them all together. We'd run offense, and then we'd run pass protection with the receivers and the quarterback and a rush, and then we tackle, and then take a break. Then we're with the defensive and the same sort of schedule. Fundamentals, different stance. This is what you're going to do. This is where your hand belongs on the ground. This is where your hand goes when you're getting after this guy. We're not flippering guys. We're going to punch him, not with the knuckles. We're going to punch him with the hand. All that you do. And I coach the linebackers, and so stance and then the reads and who are you looking at? What are you doing? And guys always want to look in the backfield. So my story to them is, how many of you got girlfriends? You trust them?
Mm-hmm.
Your girlfriend is like the quarterback and running backs. They will lie to you every time. They're going out with your boyfriends or your fellas. They're stealing all your money. They're making you buy expensive this and this and this and this. Trust the lineman. Your linemen are your mothers. Your mother will never lie to you. She loves you. No matter who or what you are, she will always be truthful.
Mm.
So we spent a lot of time. You're not going to get trapped. You're not going to get reached. And this is how you're going to do it. You're going to read that shoulder. You're going to read that shoulder. You're going to engage here. You're going to engage here. You're going to run. So we did a lot of pursuit drills. Got a good one from Pat Alexander, which we finished practice with. 4 linemen down on their bellies, running backs and receivers behind the quarterback coach, about 8-9 yards away. The receivers and running backs are spread out, up and throw and hit one of them, and they've got to go score. They're going to run 100 yards regardless.
Mm.
And the 4 guys on their bellies got to jump up. They got to figure out how they're going to get this guy running as hard as they can. Proper angle. Nobody goes down. Get your hands on their hips. And if you don't miss, you got to run all the way down. Running backs and receivers, they're going to run anyway.
Yep.
Great drill. 2 examples of it came over into games. We're playing East Valley for the state championship in 2000. And our defensive end just whiffs on their buck sweep. And Claudio Garza, I even remember his name, is off and running. He is gone. Our backside corner takes off, runs almost to the corner, and tackles him on about the 10-yard line.
Wow.
I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
Well, people who train and practice do it.
Mm-hmm.
They do it. And we had another one of those in the state championship game. Very good OMAC team. We're down. The game was basically over. And the same thing happens. The guy breaks through there and he's gone. And one of our kids from the backside, an outside backer, turns and runs and tackles him before he gets it in. So game's done, but not him. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's one of those things that verifies that you're kind of doing some of the right things to do for those guys. No quit.
Yeah, no, I only had a chance to compete against you as a coach a couple of times, and one of those was in 2013, and we had a very big physical team. And,
You did.
Yeah, and we in fact, it's probably my defensive coordinator's favorite game because we had a very physical game, and we laid some big hits and all different things. And I think some teams, lesser teams, would have folded on how that game started out early because we came out guns a-blazing, and that was a competitive game. I think final score was 27-14 or something. But the respect that our staff and our players had for your guys, because they got punched in the mouth and they came right back. They weren't backing down from any of it and competed hard all the way to the end. And so that was just an example of maybe our most physical game I coached in, and your guys went toe to toe with it and did not back down at all. So that just is another testament to exactly what you're talking about, that what you built into those young men there.
Well, you lift them, and I know everybody has a weight program now.
Yeah.
We were one of the first, I think.
Mhm.
Tried to start one at Mount Sinai when I was there. Finally got it okayed, and then I left.
Mhm.
And when I got to Meridian, we had that old Hoosiers gym
Mhm.
that I loved, actually. And after getting mauled in our league, convinced the school board to help us find a spot for a weight room. And in that old Hoosiers gym, which I loved, I said that already, we carved out a section of the bleachers, all done by volunteers. District gave us a few dollars for stuff, lumber and whatsoever, but everything. One parent came in and says, "You need help on this?" Yeah. The next day, there's like 8 or 9 professional carpenters. And in a couple of weeks, we're getting a new weight room.
Mhm.
And it was dark and grungy. There's gaps in the wall, and the northeast will blow through there. It was awesome. And so in a year, we won our first league championship, giving up 27, 28 points, something like 9. And then the next year we were into the kingdom,
Mhm.
just like that.
Yeah.
And so, it was that kind of stuff. And I think the things that our staff did at practice, I mean, it was 3 hours. It was 3 hours. And if that's what we're going to do, a group of Lakewood coaches, way before you were there, rolled in. We're still practicing, and we're doing pursuit drill.
Mhm.
And they're just laughing. "You guys still practicing?" I just, well, when was the last time you scored a point on us?
Right.
And that kind of ended that.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we did it right. Patrick right now is mandated to not go over 2 hours.
Mhm.
We figured we've lost almost 40 hours of fundamental time,
Right.
things that prevent injuries, the things that at least put your kids in position to be successful.
Yeah.
So that was my philosophy.
Yeah. Great stuff, Coach. Um, Want to respect our time. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Is there any other kind of final comments or suggestions or advice that you want to give before we wrap things up?
But I think coaches are, if you're in it for the right reasons, helping kids and learning about your craft so you can coach them better, then you're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not preparing to win, you're preparing to lose,
Mm-hmm.
and you deserve that. But this is what we say to our kids before I got out of the Vince Lombardi pregame talk stuff a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like all the yelling and screaming by me, and I've heard other coaches doing it, and I don't want to do that. And for the kids, so everything was, we'd be up in that old gym, and then in the new gym where we had to go, all the kids were in there in the dark. You talk to each kid individually what their jobs was and all the position groups, coaches. We stretch in there, and then we go on the field, pop, and we're ready to go. But before we're ready to go, and I would ask them, "If you're ready, okay, just remember who you are and where you came from. Block, tackle, knock people down.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what didn't get done ain't going to get done. That's the way it is. Let's go play."
Yeah. It's all in the preparation and the hours and the sweat and the tears that go into all that, and even the off season, like you said, with the weight training. So kind of a pioneer on some of that, Coach. And the numbers speak for themselves. And I've read lots of quotes from lots of your players, and I'm sure they're going to be able to share amazing things at the field dedication this coming Saturday. but the impact you've made goes far beyond football and the wins and the losses. And so well done, Coach. I'm proud of you. I consider it an honor to have gotten to compete against you. And thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciated.
You're welcome. I'm surprised I got through this.
You did great, Coach.